All right, let's get started. Let's start on our hands and knees with hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and just create a little push-pull feeling, pushing your upper body forward and back, letting your wrists open a little bit, letting your hips get a little opening, deep crease in the front of the hip as you go back. And then shift your weight forward till your hands are underneath your shoulders. You can bring your knees all the way together. Bring one hand up to your forehead and rotate your upper body towards the side. Try to lengthen through your upper back so you're not allowing your upper back and lower back to kind of round or be halfway in neutral. Be really elongated through the spine. And each time square yourself back off to the floor. Pushing the floor away, rotate, square yourself back off. And twice more, rotating, try to find neutral. And it'll feel easy if your hips are shifted back. So make sure you're shifted enough forward that you feel like your core is working. Setting that hand down, lift the other hand up and rotating in the other direction. Squaring your shoulders off each time. Finding that elongation through the spine, trying to feel like the sits bones and the head are reaching away from each other. And twice more, rotating, square it off, and rotate and square it off. Set both hands back down. And just one more time, shift your weight a little forward and shift it back, and then start to take it into a bit of a circle. Working through the elbows, the wrists, the shoulders, the knees, the hips, and reverse the direction of those circles. And then coming to laying on your back. If you have a flex band and you're going to use it, grab it. You don't have to have a flex band. And you're going to put the band on one foot. And hold on to the band with the tail side of the band out the hand like a microphone. And just lift that leg up. Push out through your leg. And then as you press your leg out, flex your upper body up and kind of bicep curl and bring it in. You can make it harder by imprinting and lifting the other leg up to tabletop. Just trying to find a little bit of ease in the hip so you're letting your leg lower and open a little bit further. You could keep the head down if you need to. Pushing through the leg, letting the leg open across the front of the hip. Twice more. Pressing through your leg, bringing it back in, and pressing through your leg. On this last one, once you get your upper body up, stay, extend your leg, and then just lift and lower your leg and find a little bit of an ease in the hip joint. You can take the leg in a little bit of a circle. Should feel like the flex band is working to kind of be an additional set of hip flexors in the front of the hip so that it doesn't feel like you're really working through the front. And then bend your leg, come back in, set the other foot down, reach that leg up towards the ceiling as far towards straight as you can. You can straighten the other leg on the floor if you like. And then just a big circle, getting the hip joint to move, circling the leg around. Good. And reverse the circle, circling around. I'm just doing enough bicep curl that you're keeping the arms relatively still. Extra arm work, bonus arm work. And last one, bring the leg back up to the ceiling as much as you can. It's fine if it's slightly bent. And let the leg start to come across the midline. So towards the side and across your body. And kind of turn and look in the opposite direction. So you're just starting to play around with how far can you go to the side. As you start to figure that out, put both ends of the band in the hand that is the direction you're going towards so that the hand on the floor can create opposition. You can keep your hand reaching down And you can rotate the pelvis fully, kind of pumping open the pelvis. Lee and Dana, your cameras are off. It's totally fine if they're off. It's up to you, just in case you didn't know. And last one, rotate over, stay over, bend and straighten the leg a couple times. Once you're there, bend it and press through your heel and leg, and bend it and press through your leg. And one more time, bend it and press through your leg, come back to the center and move the band down to the back of the knee, cross the band over and hold in that bicep curl position again. Again, you can do what you want with the other leg. It can be bent or straight, and stir your thigh bone around in the hip socket. We're trying to find a little bit of mobility, a little ease in the hip joints, so then we can strengthen three-dimensionally around them. Reverse the direction. It should feel like you have some resistance in all directions. So the leg, you don't have to really work the leg. It's just sort of supported the whole way around the circle. And last one. And bring that leg back in. Take and put the band on the other foot. And once you get the band on the other foot, you'll hold in kind of that bicep curl position. And just start by pushing your leg out and bending it back in once you figure out where you need to hold on to the band and how long the band needs to be. Try not to wrap the band around your hand. It's not great for your hand. And so tail out the thumb side will be best. And then if you lifted the other leg to tabletop on the other side, you should here as well. And as you press out, you can flex up. As you bend in, you can lower your upper body down. Or you're welcome to keep your head down the whole time. Pushing through your leg, bending back in. Pushing through your leg, bending back in. Nice. Try to feel like you connect to the back of the leg as you bend in. And you're trying to kind of float the leg down towards the ground. So you're opening up through the front of the hip. Do that twice more. And last one. And then set the leg in the air down, set your head down, reach your leg with the band on it to the ceiling. You can either extend the other leg or keep it bent and just go into that leg circle around and around. Trying to find a big range of motion with the support from the band. So your leg should come towards you almost as much as it goes away from you. And reverse, big circles. Kind of like a big wooden spoon stirring in a pot. And then take the band and bring your leg back up to the ceiling. You can bend the leg that doesn't have the band on it and start to bring your leg across the midline. And then after you start to bring it across the midline a couple times, you can transfer both ends of the band to that hand on the same side you're going towards and support the leg as you rotate, create opposition. The bottom leg, depending on how far you go, it might need to be straight in order to feel like you can go the whole range you want to go. But you're creating opposition, going as far as you can and coming back and rotating, going as far as you can and coming back and rotating and finding that spiral through the upper body. So the rib cage is going one way, the pelvis is going the other. And one more, stay in that rotation and bend the knee and straighten it a couple times. continuously feeling that opposition of the upper body going in the other direction. Bend and reach to the leg and bend and reach through your leg twice more. Bend and straighten and bend and straighten, and you can come back to the center. Bend both legs and put the band behind the back of the knee. Cross the band over, and elbows can kind of be hooked on the floor in a bicep curl, and just stirring the thigh bone in the hip socket. Good. As you're stirring your thigh bone in the hip socket, trying to find smooth ease. Yeah. And reverse it. You're not trying to straighten your leg here. You're trying to keep your knee bent. It's just different than the other version of one leg circle we did. It's more about using the band to support the soft tissue as you go around, so that nothing is gripping and everything feels like there's some ease to it. And then coming back in. Awesome. Take the band off of there and come over onto your hands and knees. If you take the band, again, you can do this without the band if you would like. You're gonna be on your hands and knees, and you're gonna take the ends of the band and put one foot in the band. So it's easiest if you kind of line the band up and then stick your foot in it, and then put your hands on the band to hold it. So once you're there, press your leg out, and if there's too much tension, you can't straighten it, just lighten up, give yourself a little more length. It doesn't need to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Press out through your leg and bend it back in a couple times. Try to stay within the resistance of the band. Yeah, pushing out and bending back in. Good. So like mine gets a little slack if I come in too far, so just don't go in as far as it goes slack, is what I mean by stay within the resistance. Yeah. Pushing out and bringing it in. Try to connect into your abdominals and feel like you're opening across the front of the hip as your leg straightens. Should feel like your glute connects and you feel the back of the leg working, trying to fully straighten the knee each time. And then hold the leg back there, and then tap towards one side of the mat and then go a little bit across the body. You don't have to go down because you'll hit too much stuff, but go out to the side, a little bit across. Tap towards the floor across the body and bring it back in line with the body. As much as you can, stay in the center so you're not going side to side with the torso. That's right. Good. And tap to the side and back behind you, and tap to the side and back behind you. 3 more. 2 and 1. Hold the leg back behind you and just a little circle about the size of a basketball. Keep the knee really straight. And reverse. 6, 5. And then bend that leg back in, and you're gonna try to keep the band on the foot. If it falls off, it's okay, but bring your foot all the way forward so that you still have that same foot in the band. And then hold on to both ends of the band with the opposite hand. So whichever leg is forward, hold both ends with the other side. And tighter is gonna give you a little more stability. So open your back hip and just pull against the band a little bit. It's just giving you some balance, and then rounding back and pressing forward. Lift your sternum, lift your chest, and rounding back and shifting back out of it. So it's not necessary that you stretch all the way back. You can, but mostly I'm focused on the front of the hip joint so that you're extending the hip joint and then you're just kind of coming out of that big opening. And then you press, Bobby, if it's possible, move your back knee back further so that that back leg is on a diagonal. Yeah. And you might have done this before where I had you touch a wall or touch a chair or a stool or something so that you didn't fall over. The band is working in that same way. Round and think up and over as you shift back. I feel almost more stretch when I come back this direction and I lift my upper body up and over and I'm pulling up on the front of my pelvis as much as possible. It's a different stretch, but something should be happening in both directions. Think of pushing your knee forward. One more time. Open, and then it's like you're pushing your knee forward. And then you can keep that foot in the band, set your hand back down, and you're gonna come to the side, still same foot in the band, either propped up on your forearm or laying all the way down. I'll let you choose. Hold on with the top arm and just anchor your hand to the floor. It's kind of heavy, so push it into the floor hard enough, it's stabilizing. Take your leg in front of you and make sure the band doesn't go all slack. When it's under you, there's gonna be more tension on the band. Yeah, okay, so then we're gonna be going in front and under us with these concentric circles. So you're making concentric circles to bring your leg back and concentric circles to bring the leg forward, maybe about 6 to go forward and about 6 to go back, something like that. Depends on how much resistance is on your band. Circling, circling, circling. Should feel like glutes, abductors, hamstrings are working right away. Circling. And if it's not, then feel free to tension up on your band a little bit more. And circle. Oh yeah, I moved my hand like an inch and it's much harder. Funny how that is. And leg coming forward. And leg going back. One more time. And leg going forward. Leave your leg forward. Once you get there, you can leave it, let it drop down to the floor. Rotate out of it towards the other direction. Big stretch, take a couple breaths. And then come back to face the side. When you're ready, bring your leg back underneath you. And still kind of anchored to the floor or bicep curl position with the arm. Bend your leg in, keeping it parallel so it's not going down just because the origin of the band is down on the ground. And then you're pressing back out. So kind of bending to tabletop and press back out. Stay within the resistance of the band or find a resistance that gives you tensioning the whole time. If you can, try not to bend your foot back behind you, but instead bring your leg towards 90 degrees at the hip and the knee. Yeah. And then look at your leg and make sure your knee is staying in line with your toes and in line with the sit bone. It's tempting to get a little bit knee down, foot up. Nobody's as bad as I was just showing, but we all have that temptation. Then bend in, lift your leg up, push back out. Bend in, lift. So you go in a big circle. And one more. Reverse. 4, 3. Try to press all the way to straight. And last one. And then release the band. Take your foot out of it. Take that top leg and stretch it out. Bend your knee behind you and just do a little bounce of the knee. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Your foot stays on the ground and you're just kind of bouncing the lateral side of the leg. Yeah. And then bring your leg forward and just give it a couple little taps if that feels good to you. And then straighten both legs out towards the diagonal, so about 45 degrees in front of you. And just do 2 kicks forward, 1 sweep back. And forward, sweep back. This is more for ease and kind of for getting the hip cramp to go away. So we're gonna let our torso move a little bit more. You're gonna let your upper body reach forward as the leg goes back. Let the torso open to the ceiling. You have to kind of lift your head off your arm in order to be able to move. And sweeping through the leg. And one more time. And then bring your legs back in, come up from there and come back onto hands and knees. Kind of make a loop with the band and then climb inside the loop and put the second foot in the band and figure out how to get a little tension on that by putting the ends of the band under your hands. And then you're gonna press your leg out and see if you can straighten all the way. If you can't, lighten your grip or lengthen the band a little bit. And pressing out and in a few times. Bend and reach. As you do this, feel how your body's going to want to shift to the side, away from the side that you're lifting. So see if you can keep yourself as centered as possible. That's where you'll feel more core abdominal work. Yeah, awesome. Bending in and pressing out. Last 3, 2, and last 1. Keep the leg out there. And you're gonna tap way over to the side. You should feel your obliques turn on quite a bit. And then bring your leg across the midline and do it again. Tap towards the floor in the open side, bring it across the midline. Tap towards the open side and across. Yeah, second side's harder because of course we already feel that first side and now it's working to stabilize as the standing side. So take breaks whenever you need to. Tap and press across and tap and press across. Three more. Last one. Hold the leg behind you. Circle. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Reverse. 6. And then step that foot forward. You can put both ends of the band in the opposite hand. Make sure you get your front foot far enough forward that you're not totally vertical through the back leg. You can be in a little incline, and you're just gonna open up through the back hip. And then it's like you're trying to scoop up and over, lifting the pelvis to vertical and hinge forward without collapsing. And then feeling of up and over and hinging forward and up and over. Just a couple more times, lengthening and lift. And last one. And then bring your leg to the side. Once you're laying on your side, you could either be propped up on your forearm or laying all the way down. The band has to be, the tension has to be so that your leg can come in front of you and the band doesn't go all floppy. And we do our concentric circles as the leg goes forward, circling and circling as the leg goes back, either holding the arm in a bicep curl or kind of anchoring it to the floor. Anchoring into the floor is easier on the arm and shoulder, harder on the leg. About 6 circles to go forward. And about 6 to go back. Good. And see if we can smooth it out a little bit. And a few more here. And keep reaching into the leg. We'll go backwards, and then once your leg gets forward, we're going to drop the leg and rotate the torso. So coming forward one more time, and then you can let the leg drop. You can grab on with the other hand and rotate your torso open. Just take a couple breaths there. As you exhale, see if you can rotate a little further. And then coming back to laying on the side, bend your leg in towards tabletop in front of you so it matches kind of the bottom leg, and then press back out. So you're 90 degrees at the hip and the knee, and open through the back of the hip. Yeah, each time your leg presses out, feel like when it goes underneath you, you're trying to open across the front of the hip. Bend in and press out. And the band kind of feels like it's in the way, but just let your knee bang into it instead of dropping your knee to avoid hitting it. Try to go for parallel, knee straight forward in line with the sit bone. Nice. Then bend in, lift your leg up, press out. 4, 3, 2, and 1 reverse. Try to think about your wrist a little bit, just so you're maintaining some good wrist hand alignment to do this. And last one. And then bend your leg in. And we'll take the band off our foot, bring both legs forward to that side kick position, 2 kicks forward, 1 sweep back, and then you're going to add your upper body, rotating the torso to the ceiling as the leg goes forward. And just finding some rotation here. Twice more. And last one. And then come onto your stomach. Bring your legs into a rotated turned out position. Your arms kind of in that W shape. And just start to connect through your glutes so you're feeling like the sits bones are drawing towards each other behind you. Legs are actively straight, looking forward, and then continue to come up as far as it feels good to you. And then pulling yourself forward as you lower down. So you want to feel like your back muscles are what's lifting you versus it just being the arms pushing you up. Yeah, nice. You can come up as far as it feels good to your body. Yeah, good. Lee, bend your arms and bring your hands back a little bit further. Yeah, and see if that allows you to go up a little bit more. You might not want to, I don't know, but yeah. Feel how even here, as you come up, you get a little opening through the front of the hips. So you're kind of in the opposite of sitting in a chair position. One more time, however it feels good on your body today. Just opening up the body, lengthening. And lowering back down. And then just rock your hips a little side to side, shake it out. And you're gonna push yourself back. And we're gonna come to laying on our backs. Again, optional flex band if you have it. Add it, why not? Put it on one foot. And you're gonna reach both legs up to the ceiling. The tail of the band is coming out the thumb side again. So as the leg in the air, this is like your scissors, but it's a little more complicated than that. As the band leg goes down, you're gonna bicep curl and do your pulse. As the band leg comes up, you're gonna stay up, but do your hundreds like pulsing arms. So you pulse, bicep curl, pulse, and leg goes up, hundreds arms. Pulse, pulse, and arms straight by the side, hundreds. And pulse, pulse, and arms straight as the leg goes up. Yes. And 4, and 3, and 2, and last one. And take your leg up to the ceiling, put your other foot in the band, and we switch to the other side. So as the band leg goes down, we bicep curl. As the band leg goes up, you hundreds pulse. And bend the arms, straighten the arms. Pulse, pulse, and pulse, pulse. Very nice. If it's too much to have the head up, put the head down. It might just reduce the range of motion slightly. And last 2. And last one. And then bend your legs back in and put both feet in the band. Push into your legs and flex your upper body up, and then bend and lower back down. You might choose to walk your hands up a little higher on the band, a little closer to your feet rather, so that it gives you more resistance. So press through your legs and feel how it starts to tip you up. Do you guys feel that kind of leverage you can give yourself? And then start to roll back down. And at some point, let the feet lift. It's usually around where your lower back touches. And then push into your feet. You might just need more tension on the band if you can't get up. So double up your band maybe, Dana, like fold the whole thing and yeah, put both edges of the loop on your feet maybe and hold the edges like, yeah, something like that. So you're kind of using this to teeter-totter and rolling back and bringing the feet towards the legs towards the face. Yeah, that's right. Is that possible? It's kind of fun. There is an exercise like this where you have to do this without the help of the band, which obviously I think we all can agree that it's helping us quite a bit right now. One more time, press through the legs, roll up over the legs, and just do a little pulse over the legs. And then flex your feet, bend your knees a little bit, but keep your heels digging into the floor, and just do a normal roll down, rolling down. If you want to get rid of the band, you can, but sometimes it feels nice to add it in because it gives your hip flexors a little assistance so you can find a little more ease in the front of the hip. In all my classes, I've been sort of gradually working towards doing things where we're inverted. And so that kind of teeter-tottering feeling is part of that goal. Yeah. And rolling open across the front of the hips. I don't normally do the roll up with the band, but I will say I definitely feel a difference in the ease in the front of my hips. with using it. So I probably should use it more. One more time. Roll up and we'll meet all the way back down on the ground. Rolling down. And then you can take the band, set the band aside, and just bring your hands back behind your head. You can put your feet flat. Point your elbows slightly forward and up and flex your upper body up. And just find a really easy oblique slide of rib to opposite hip. And then center off and up and across. So as you do this a few times one way and then the other way, see if you can find the pelvis staying level and a kind of flattening across the front of the hips. If you'd like, add the opposite arm reaching across as you come up and over the side. It kind of helps you to feel like you can go a little further. You also can lift the leg to tabletop that you're going towards. So you're kind of marching. Rib to opposite hip. Knee towards shoulder. Up and across and center and across and center. One more each way. Finish up even on both sides if you need to do an extra one. And then come back to the center, connect your ribs and lift one leg up to tabletop and then the other. Flex your upper body up and go into your obliques here without stopping in the center. And if you can, add the leg extending just to 8 more. 8, 7, 6. Of course, you can put your feet down if you need to. And then come back in, lower down, grab a hold of your knees, just stir your legs or rock a little side to side. And keeping the upper body down, nothing under the head at this point. Lift your feet up and cross your ankles, make kind of a diamond shape with your knees open and your feet together. And then just deepen your imprint, like you're trying to curl the base of your pelvis away from the floor. It doesn't matter if you literally lift it. I'd rather you not kick in order to lift it. I'd rather you feel the abdominal connection of the deepening of the imprint. And take your legs back so the knees are over the hip each time, or else you won't have anywhere to move from. So there's some flexing of the hips and a deepening of your imprint. Should feel like your abdominals are working quite a bit to do that. Switch which ankle is on top. Deepen your abdominal connection, return. Deepen your abdominal connection, return. And I feel if I go too far or make it too big, my shoulders and neck start to tense up. So going in a range that you can keep that from happening. I'm not saying the arms aren't doing anything, but they shouldn't suddenly pop up off the floor and come towards your chin. Last 2 and last 1. And then we're going to try using the band to see if it'll help to bring us into a little bit of an inversion position. So take the band and put it on one foot. And then take the other, put both into the band together. And the tail is going to kind of hit you in the face. So just fold up a little bit of it if you have a long band. And then clasp your hands together and put the other foot on top of that. The free foot is on top of all that. So then you're going to pull with your arms overhead. If it doesn't help at all and you don't get off the floor at all, then adjust how short your band is. Trying to use the arms to help you curl. So the last 2 things we did are related. So that deepening of the imprint is the abdominal part of this. And maybe, Bobby, take your arms more over your chest up to the ceiling. And so it's like you're pushing with your arms. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And see if you can Get the pelvis to come up and over, and if you get it up and over, that's awesome. Roll down slowly, one more time. And then you can rest. Good. Grab behind one leg to come up to sitting, set the band down, rounding to the back of your sit bones, and grab behind one knee, and then grab behind the other knee. So rolling back and doing a little kick of the legs, and then coming back up, and at the top, you bend the knees, and then lengthen your spine into that teaser position. So you're gonna deepen your abs, round like a ball, straighten the legs as you roll back, find your balance, sustain that balance as you lengthen into a long line. Nice. And so if you don't need the help of your legs kicking, then don't kick them. You could keep the knees bent the whole time, a little harder, or you could grab a hold of the ankles and straighten the legs. Open leg rocker here. So, but at the top, there's that lift of the chest, and the legs are apart, about as wide as the shoulders. If they're too close together, it's hard to move your pelvis, and your pelvis needs to do that kind of deepening of the imprint or deepening of the flexion. And rounding back, roll back, press through the legs, lengthen through the upper body. Use your eyes, kind of scan down the wall in front of you, and then scan up it to bring you into that teaser shape. Twice more. Lengthening, and one last time. Find your balance, hold that balance. See if you can lengthen through your spine. Is there any chance you could let go of your hands with your hands? Maybe for a minute or less, and then bring your feet down and set your feet all the way down. Good. Come onto your hands and knees again. And we're going to go down onto our forearms. So reach one leg out behind you, tuck your toes under, and just rock back and open up your calf a little bit. Rock. Open up the calf, open up your toes. Kind of feel like you're fanning the foot open. And then coming back to center of all of that, lift the leg off the ground, rotate the pelvis to the side, square your pelvis back off to the floor. Rotate the pelvis to the side, square your pelvis back off to the floor. You could also do this up on your hands and knees. I feel like it's a little harder because the upper body wants to rotate more. Here, you're kind of locked in through the upper body. Your choice. Rotate the pelvis a little, square it off. Nice. Straighten your knee more. Rotate the pelvis. And twice more. Rotate the pelvis. Should feel like that standing hip is working quite a bit. And then rotate the pelvis to the side. Keep it there. Flex your foot and circle your leg. Circle as big as circle as you can balance. Huge circle. And reverse. And then set that leg down, sit back, and whichever leg was just moving in the air, bring that leg across in front of the other one and rotate towards it and away from it. Or one way and then the other. You can use your arm to give you more leverage by sweeping it across. It kind of helps you to open a little more. You can open one arm and then kind of go up and over and round. Open one arm, up and over and round. Kind of a swimming feeling. Yeah. And last moment here. And bring your legs out of that shape and come back onto your forearms. The second leg, that second foot is going to reach out behind you, and you're going to just rock forward and back and kind of stretch open your toes, stretch open your calf. Push, pull, push, pull. And then we're gonna lift that leg up off of the floor, rotate the pelvis towards the side, square your hips off to the floor. Rotate and square it off. And rotate. Keep your knee really straight. And twice more, pushing the floor away from that standing hip. And hold your pelvis in the rotation. Big circles. Should feel like your circle is big enough. It challenges your internal stability. Big circle. Lengthen through your upper back. Push the floor away through the arms and the shoulders. Reverse. 8. Last 2. And last 1. Bring that leg in, kind of sit back. Cross that foot over in front of the other leg and rotate a little one way and then the other. Add your arms to help get a little further around. And you can add that kind of swimming up and over feeling as well, or not. Rotate, beautiful. Rotate. And one more moment here. And coming back. Good. Uncross your legs and come to your side on your forearm. And pressing down through your forearm, your hand is straight forward here. Push your hips up and then lower your hips back down. And now I want you to feel that you're doing this lift of the pelvis from the hip, not from the shoulder as much. So pushing up and lower, and you don't have to rest completely in between each one. Just go down until you feel like you're taking some of the weight out of your hips. Yeah, so lat, shoulder, oblique, outer hip all have to work to do this. I think the more you get your knees back in line with the torso, the better, because you'll get into a straighter side plank. This is different than that thing we do that's like where you're pushing your hips forward. There is a little bit of that happening, but you're ending up more straight. And then if you can stay up and extend the top leg out and just do a little lift and lower of the top leg. If it gets to be too much, put the hip down, but keep that sense of press. And 4, 3, 2, and 1. Set your hip down. And then if your foot slides, that'd be ideal. You're just gonna swing your leg a little forward and back. If you need to like fold up your mat so that there's something to slide on, do that. This is one of those things that feels so good, and it's a really kind of nice way to open up the anterior side of the leg and hip through movement. Yeah. And then coming back in and switch over to the second side. Another thing I'm working on in all our classes is side planks. So pushing your hips forward and then lowering your hips down and up. It's more or less going straight down and up, down and up. And think of the glute and the bottom outer hip working to press your hips up. Good. Should feel like that bottom shoulder is really stabilized and you're working from underneath it. And then on the next one, you can stay up, reach that top leg out and lift and lower. Even though it mostly feels like shoulder to me, I would say you still are getting quite a bit of outer hip work to have to hold yourself up here. Or you can set your hip down if it's too much. And last two, and last one. And then adjust anything you need to be able to find that swing of the leg forward and back. Should feel easy and not like a lot of effort. So that's the reason having your foot slide on the floor will help with that. Good. And then coming back to your hands and knees. And you're gonna press yourself back into a downward dog position. Then bend your knees and lower yourself to leg pull front prep. And go back and forth between those two positions, kind of opening up through the calf, the back of the legs like you would in a downward dog. And lowering, taking more weight in the abs and the shoulders, arms. And kind of pumping open the back of the legs. If your focus is more today on the opening of the legs, then spend more time in the top position. If you want more challenge, spend more time in the bottom part. One more time. Finish in the leg pull front prep position and just hold, lengthen through your spine. And then setting your knees back down, sit back towards your heels, just stretch your arms back. And one more time, shift your weight forward, come up into that downward dog position, open up through the bottom of the feet and try to lengthen through your spine a little bit. I want you to do this like a shoulder exercise. Your heels can lift away from the floor as much as they need. You're gonna bend your elbows to lower your head towards the floor. Bend and press. It's like you're trying to set your forehead down between your hands, not just straight underneath you. Yeah, so there's like a forward shift and a bending of the elbows. Good. 3 and 2 and last one. And you can set your knees back down, sit back on your heels, do a little shell stretch, pushing the lower back open. And you can roll up from there and you're all done. Good job.